Hi guys, this is your streamer Carlos. On today's video, I'm gonna give you my thoughts on episode 2 of Marvel Studios' Secret Invasion. So here we go, guys. So here we go, guys. So like I said before, or like I have said before, I really liked this, really liked the, like I said in my previous video for episode 1 of Secret Invasion, I really enjoyed the first episode of Secret Invasion. Well, this this episode 2 surpasses in awesomeness episode 1 of Secret Invasion. So what I'm saying, you guys, is that what I'm saying to you guys is that, to me, episode 2 is better than is a grade of awesomeness, awesomeness and pure Marvel's great job, Marvel's best work to this point, which I'm gonna get into all the other episodes after this one. Or the other episodes after episode 2. But here's what I liked about episode 2. Like I previously said in my review of episode 1 of Secret Invasion, we got to see young Nick Fury, when a couple months after he and Captain Marvel said goodbye to each other at the end of Captain Marvel 1, at the end of Captain Marvel. But like I previously said as well, I previously said to you in my review, as well as mentioning Captain Marvel, we get to see Nick Fury, a young Nick Fury go to a building, an abandoned building that inside this abandoned building is Thanos, the leader, the humble and good leader of the Skrulls, that have lost their home planet thanks to the Kree, just like I told you previously told you in my first episode review of Secret Invasion. But I told you as well that Thanos' wife introduced young Nick Fury to an orphan Skrull kid, an orphan Skrull refugee kid named Gravik. But what I got a little bit into detail of what what got Nick Fury, what got Nick Fury, what got Gravik, so that's the kids, that's the refugee, that's the school refugees name, Gravik. But I got into a little bit of detail, but I'm gonna get into it a little bit further. I really liked the part where Thalos introduced Thalos' wife introduced Nick Fury to Gravik, a young Skrull orphan that just like the rest of his Skrull compatriots, lost everything, including his mom and dad. And I really and here's why I liked this part of the episode 2 so much, because we get to see Nick Fury, obviously in a paternal fashion towards Gravik. Like, he takes him under his wing, under his care. Basically, what I'm trying to say to you guys is that I believe that before Gravik betrayed Thalos and Nick Fury as an adult, I believe that I really dig the fact that Marvel I really dig and like and love the fact that Marvel in this series, that Marvel showed us a maternal the maternal form of Nick Fury, of taking this young kid under young Skrull orphan kid under his wing, and he's basically his guardian, his guardian. And Thalos' wife says, "Can you please take him under your, not only take him under your wing, but take care of him and show him his new environment that he's going to live in, and how you guys, meaning us humans, meaning you guys humans, live on Earth." But as I told you, before, in the first review of in my first episode review of Secret Invasion, Thalos, as he grew up, he got into his head the idea that Thalos was leading his own species, including Gravik, into a path of just pure giving, saying, according to Gravik, Thalos' philosophy is giving us humans the love and respect. And meanwhile, us humans, according to Graphic, treat the scroll changing form scrolls into, basically we treat you equally. But according to Gravic's philosophy, or according to Gravic's state of mind, according to Gravic's state of mind, Thalos' philosophy is wrong. That scrolls can't coexist with us humans and be a happy family. What Gravic's philosophy is pure, basically destroy us humans with his own scroll, with himself and his scroll family members, and eventually Gravic and the rest of the scrolls would wipe us out from the face of the earth. But that's all that. But that's not Thalos' way of thinking. So that's why Gravic revolted against the philosophy of Thalos, and removed him, or Gravic found a way to remove Thalos from the scroll. I'm going to call it the scroll Congress, or also known the Scroll Council. So that's why we see Thalos in his human form contact Director Fury, all the way up in S.H.I.E.L.D.'s new space headquarters station. And that's the first part that I really enjoyed. The second part that I really enjoyed is that Thalos finally like I previously said in my first review of Secret Invasion, Thalos was able to convince his own daughter, Amelia Clark, played by the human form. Thalos was able to convince his own daughter that Gravic was telling her lies about his philosophy regarding the cohabitation philosophy that Thalos had. You know what I mean? So the second part that I really enjoyed was that Thalos was able to convince his daughter, who is played by Amelia Clark in Thalos' daughter's human form. He was able to convince his daughter that Gravik is lying to her, and lying to her face, and to not only to her, but to his other followers too. But what really convinced Thalos' daughter was that Thalos said to his daughter, your mom is dead. Your mom is dead. Your mom died. Your mom died during the blip, around the time of the blip. And of course, that was Kaya or Kala. Sorry guys for the mispronunciation, but I'm gonna go with Kaya. Was like, you're lying to me, Dad. You're lying to me. You're lying to me. You're lying to me, Dad. You're not telling. It's not true. My mom is alive. My mom is alive. And Thela was like, no, you couldn't even ask Gravik if you don't want to believe me. So that's the second thing that I really enjoyed about this episode. That Val was able to finally convince Kala, his daughter, that Gravik is lying to her about his philosophy towards us humans, and Thalos convinced his daughter to work undercover for him and Director Fury. Now the third part that I really enjoyed about this episode was that we got to see Colonel James Rhodes, aka better known as War Machine. Yes, Don Cheadle. We get to see Don Cheadle back as Colonel James Rhodes, or also known as War Machine. But Rhodey doesn't look like himself. He's not the Rhodey of old. He looks his body is he looks corrupted. What I mean by corrupted, he's not his good guy self, which gets Director Fury the suspicion or the inclination and suspicion that Rhodey, that this version of Rhodey is not the real Rhodey, that this version of Colonel James Rhodes is not actually the real version of Rhodey, aka better known as War Machine. Nick Fury believes that he gets the inclination that this version of Colonel James Rhodes is actually a scroll that is working for Gravik, the human form of Gravik, which is Gravik himself, but in his human form. And so later on in episode 2, we see that War Machine and Director Fury meet at a fancy restaurant to talk about something. And that something is that Rhodey went to the Shield console, or went to a Shield meeting where he talked to the superiors above Director Fury to have a meeting about him and Agent Maria Hill, being in Russia at the climax of episode 1, which the meeting took around, I would want to say 20 minutes or so, 20 minutes, where Rhodey was asked why was Director Nick Fury and Agent Maria Hill in Russia, and Rhodey gave a very technical and political Shield political answer, and basically at the end of the meeting, Director Fury's Shield superiors said to Rhodey, to Colonel James Rhodes, War Machine, that they want him, War Machine, to kick Nick Fury out of Shield for them. So that's the whole point of the fancy restaurant meeting. And of course, when War Machine tells this to Director Fury says, No, 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 no. He's basically saying in a funny way you're tripping. What I mean by tripping is lying. You're lying. No, it can't. No, basically Director Fury is incredulous. Is totally incredulous, and can't and says to War Machine that Shield can't do this. Can't do this to me. Can't do this to me. I am darn freaking Nick Fury. I'm darn freaking Nick Fury. If they want to kick me out, they could send someone from the panel, not you, Rhodey, to kick me out. To kick me out of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yes, I was hired by government officials, but I made S.H.I.E.L.D. I made S.H.I.E.L.D. a great place, and thanks to me and my friends the Avengers, Earth is not doing okay right now, but if it wasn't for me, S.H.I.E.L.D. would be a shell of itself as a secretive government department, and if it wasn't for me, S.H.I.E.L.D. wouldn't have the Avengers, and therefore the Avengers wouldn't have kicked Thanos' ugly Fanta teeth down his throat at the end of Endgame. So that's the first. That was the first clue that Director Fury got the inclination that his friend Rhodey, an Avenger friend, wasn't himself. Wasn't the real Rhodey that he knew. Wasn't the real Rhodey that he knows, and that he's not acting like himself. Then before that, Director Fury has the hard and heartbreaking job to deliver to give his condolences to Agent Maria, to Mrs. Hill, which is Agent Maria Hill's mother. So Nick Fury has a hard job to deliver some devastating news to Mrs. Hill, Agent Maria Hill's mother, and he has to say to Mrs. Hill that her little girl won't come home, won't come home to for Christmas or for any kind of holiday anymore because he shot her. What I mean by he shot her is that in the first episode, like I previously said in my first video, at the end of my first video, Gravik transformed himself or shapeshifted himself into Nick Fury, and he shot Agent Hill in the stomach, therefore at a very close range, and therefore she fell and bled to death. And of course, Mrs. Hill was obviously distraught, like any mother should be, and she blamed, she blamed Director Fury for putting her baby girl into danger, and Mrs. Hill said, you promised me that you would protect my daughter, you would protect my daughter from getting hurt severely, which she did, at any cost. But you broke that promise, and I blame you, Nick Fury, for causing Maria's death. And that was my third favorite part. I believe it's one of the most powerful moments of the series. So in this episode, of all 5 episodes, it's one of the best dramatic parts ever. One of my most favorite dramatic parts ever in an MCU series. Then my fourth favorite part was that we got to see MI6's leader, basically the British version of Director Fury, Director Sonya of MI6, and boy, she's a tough English muffin to bake. Yes, she's a tough English muffin. She's a tough English muffin to bake. And boy, she's ruthless. She's ruthless with her opponents, which I'll get to hear in a moment. And here we go. So, Agent Sonya and Director Fury have a very, very budding but loving and caring, and sometimes intense friendship. Well, Nick, Director 3, calls Director Sonia of MI6, and Director Sonia says to Director Fury, and says to Director Fury, I have a mole within my department that is working for Gravik. I don't have the mole's identity just yet, but I got some information from a contact that is connected to Gravik and to my inner mole of my department, Fury, and I got that information in my own special way. She didn't actually say that, she didn't actually say that, but she got what she wanted. She got what she wanted. And here's how she did it. She first, her agents, her and her MI6 agents went to a kitchen, an abandoned. First they her and her MI6 agents captured this contact of Gravik and the mole and her department trader mole, and she tortures this contact by giving him or injecting him with a needle containing an orange fire that it contains a fire liquid type liquid when injected turns the host or the ones that is injected by this needle turns orange, and in this case orange means burning. Like it turned this needle shot turns whoever gets injected by this needle, his skin turns orange, and he's basically on fire. He's basically burning up, like he had eaten something from the pits of Dante's Inferno. And basically Sonia gets this contact to give her the mole's identity. And that's and that's and that's the and that's and that and that's some and that's the part that I really and that's the fourth part that I really liked. Because just like I said in my just like I have said before in my Star Wars videos, it's amazing to me that 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 the Sith, just like I said about the Sith having new torture toys to get what they want, or to torture the rebels against the new empire. The new empire. It's amazing to me that that in this case Marvel or the Marvel's version of the MI6 has this torture needle to get this fiery Dante's Inferno type of needle that burns your skin, that when you get injected by this MI6 new new toy of torture and information device or information needle, you get the sensation that you're burning up until you can't handle the burning sensation until you give the information that in this case that director Sonya needs. So that was my favorite. So that was my favorite part. That was my fourth favorite part. Now, my fifth favorite part about this episode is that right after when Sonya got the information from her contact, she did not only get information about the mole from this contact, but she got extra information. This contact gave her, as he was burning up, the Gravix main plot. Basically, this contact said besides giving Director Sonya the mole's identity, this contact said that Gravik is building a super scroll machine. Yes, a super scroll machine, which in turn means that Gravik is building his own strong and tough as nails that he wants to make his group of scrolls stronger and yoked as a half carton of hard, strong green eggs. And finally, just like I said in my review of the first episode before, Gravik has infiltrated NATO, but it's amazing to me. It's amazing to me that Gravik has such a big influence in NATO, thanks to his allies, thanks to his scroll allies, which I mentioned in my first episode. It's amazing. It's amazing that Gravik has a very strong grip on NATO. Grip on NATO to me. It just blows me away. It just blows me away. Now, that's the fifth part that I really enjoyed about this episode. That we got to dig a little bit deeper into Gravik's stronghold or strong grip on, more deeper into Gravik's grip on NATO, and of course, and finally, the sixth part that I really enjoyed about this episode was, just like I mentioned at the end of my first review of Secret Invasion, is that it's still shocking. That it's still shocking to me that Nick Fury, that director Fury, is absolutely is married to Priscilla, to his wife Priscilla, who's again, like I told you before. Like I told you before at the end of my first review, is not what she seems to be portray. She underneath her human form as Priscilla Fury, she's a Skrull, and that's another thing that I have to give Marvel credit, that they are not afraid, that they are not afraid to show, that they are not afraid to show Director Fury's human, like I told you in the first part of my video, of this video, that the MCU is not afraid to show Director Fury's humanity with Gravik. But in this case, Marvel did a masterful job, in my opinion, by showing us that underneath his eye patch, tough and grit and true grit and total awesomeness, he's also married, and he has a wife, and he would die, he would give his life and his soul a soul for her, to protect her, and I really love, and I really loved, and I really love that. So, with that being said, guys, thank you for watching. Leave a like, leave a comment, and let me know. And please let me know. What if you were like Gravik, and you had this muscle making machine? Who would you use it on? Who would you use it on? Would you use it on yourselves, or would you use it on someone else from your inner circle, or whoever you might think of? Thank you guys for watching. Bye.